said, be brave, my son, I'll be home soon. The boy held on to hope till he got that awful news. And as they folded up the stars and stripes, 21 guns pointed towards the sky. As the shots rang out, he flinched a little each time. Then a soldier in his best dress walked up to him, and you know the rest.
This show is brought to you by Operation Encore. Operation Encore is a 501c nonprofit that is helping change the lives of our veteran community. Let me tell you a little bit about what they do. They are helping veterans get into the music industry. They're helping them learn the business, get songs recorded, and not only that, making dreams happen. You know, most of these veterans have got the idea of becoming a musician way before they went into the military. And Operation Encore is filling that gap from while they served in the military and helping them change their lives and live out those dreams. Operation Encore is a nonprofit. You can go to this link right there and click on it, give them a little help, hit that donate button, follow them, learn about all the great things that Operation Encore does for our veterans. Hey, welcome everybody to Spirits and Stories. This is your host, Donald Dunn. Hey, you know, a lot of changes, man. Since I did that little video, I got a little bit of facial hair now. I started a new job, man. A lot of changes, a lot of things looking up. And today is going to be no different. Our guest is going to talk about some trials that he went through and how he is now helping other people share those stories and get through them. So without any further ado, we have Brian Fleming. Brian Fleming has lots of trauma survivors feel trapped in their own minds. After ending a traumatic experience, Brian Fleming is a combat wounded war veteran who was injured by a suicide bomber in Afghanistan. He's an author, international speaker, resilience trainer, and founder of Use Your Story, where he shows other trauma survivors how to get unstuck and discover more healing by sharing their stories in the world. Transform your life and take your next healing step at useyourstory.com. Let's welcome Brian Fleming.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. So let's start out a little bit. Let's get a little background, man. What brought you to the military?
I graduated high school in 2003, and so 9/11 had just taken place a couple years prior, and big piece of it, like, it was twofold. It was 9/11, and the other part was the fact that I had studied so hard in high school. I couldn't imagine not taking a break before going to college. I needed to stop studying and jump out of a few airplanes, shoot some big guns, and blow some stuff up. Turns out I did all that, and even got some of the explosions in return that I did not, prefer, but it happened. And it was 9/11 combined with just the fact that I needed to change the pace before I went to college or whatever I was going to do after high school.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I tell everybody. So I came in 94, and the reason I came in is because I needed to grow up, and the military is a great place to help you do that. It's gonna do that in a expedient way. It's kind of like the express checkout lane, and the other part is, my hat's off to everybody that signed up after 9/11, because they knew what they were signing up for. When I signed up, I thought the worst thing that was going to happen is I was going to have to mow some grass or pick up some trash or something else. I didn't think about war. There wasn't nothing going on in 94, maybe Bosnia or something like that, but nothing that anybody really thought of. And so my hat's off to you, man, for doing that, because like I said, I got a lot of respect for the people that came in after 9/11.
Well, same here with anybody who served at any time, because there are a lot of people who were in 99, 2000 who had no idea 9/11 was going to happen and ended up spending another decade or so in the military and didn't plan on it. So we all raised our hand and signed the dotted line. And if we got called, we did. If we didn't, we didn't. I see no difference in anybody, regardless of when they served or if they even deployed or had to.
Yep, I agree. I agree. So, what made you choose? What branch did you go into?
I was in the Army. I was Army
Okay.
Infantry, 11 Bravo.
Okay. All right. What made you choose the Army? Did you check out any of the other branches?
Well, I did. Funny story, because my brother was in the Marine Corps, and 2 weeks prior to his graduation in San Diego, 9/11 happened literally 2 weeks prior to graduation. And so he he told me all his drill instructors came in and said, turn on the TVs and said, "Hey, you're all going to war, this and that," and everyone's confused. You've been telling that the past 3 months, you know. Apparently, this is different. But I went to join the Marine Corps initially. I mean, I wanted to do infantry, so regardless, I got to do what I wanted. But when I did the one thing my recruiter, my Marine recruiter, said not to do. He said, "You go to MEPS, say no to everything." I said, "Okay, I say no to everything." And one question: Have you ever had pneumonia at any point, anytime ever in your life? And I said, "Well, I don't know, maybe when I was a kid. I don't know. Not that I had any medical record of it, which I didn't." Boom, you're going to need a waiver, this and that. 8 months went by. I'm graduating in a month. I'm running circles in PT around the Marine Corps recruiters. And so I'm like, dude, I do not have asthma. I am fit perfectly. Like, I don't know what the politics of this is. And finally, I'm like, well, look, like I'm graduating in a month or two. So either like I need to push this through or I'm going somewhere else. Went next door to the Army's office, the Army recruiter. And he goes, "Yeah, we got infantry. We'll even give you $5,000 for signing up." I'm like, well, the Marines didn't offer me that. And so I got to do what I wanted anyway. And it all worked out the way it was supposed to. That's the thing. If I would have
Yeah.
ended up in the Marine Corps as I originally planned, I would have done just as well, I have no doubt. But I would have not been in the same place, not the same combat experiences. And so everything happened how it did. And that's what I believe it was what was supposed to happen.
Yeah. No, I agree. I don't think, I had a guest on here and she said that before we're born, we select our path, and all the things that we do are things that we need to learn. They're lessons that we have chose for ourselves to learn. And so I do agree that as whatever you end up is you're going to end up where you're supposed to be, no matter what road you took to get there and how much you fought it. You're
Yeah.
still going to end up where you're supposed to be.
Well,
So
there are some
yeah,
things
I
that
agree,
you
man.
try to yeah, there are some things you try to avoid and you just can't avoid them. There are some things you try to make happen, you just can't make them happen. And there's something about life when you
Yep.
just let go, you finally let go of control. And
Yep.
what so often whatever you're trying to do, oftentimes just sort of happens effortlessly. Not every time. I'm not one of those people. But I've
Right.
found as I'm getting older, the less control, I'll do what I can, but I don't hang on to ultimate control. And when I don't hang on to ultimate control, I don't try to strong arm something past the extent which I'm able. Things tend to work out just the way they're supposed to, and I'm happy about them.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So you go to basic and you come in the military. What where was your first duty station?
Second Infantry Division, South Korea, Camp Casey.
I wasn't too far from my first duty station was Camp Kyle. I don't even know if it was still around when you was there, but it was
I
over
was there in
by
oh
CRC.
04. Where was it near?
CRC, Camp Red Cloud.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, Red Cloud was just down the road from Casey.
Yep, yep,
Yeah.
yeah. We were
You know,
the support
Songjuchan,
battalion.
EDC.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, yep,
Tokari. Yeah, you
yep.
stayed out of there, didn't you? I hope you did. We won't go there.
Yeah,
I'm not sure
yeah.
what the age restriction on this podcast is.
Korea is a unique animal, man. And the ironic thing was my wife is American, but her mom's Korean. My wife's
Hmm.
never been to Korea. She was born in the States, born in Nebraska. And I got stationed in her mom's hometown, which was kind of ironic. So I've met family members of her mom or of hers that she's never met before.
Oh,
So
so near Red Cloud, that's where
yeah,
your wife's family is from.
Weijambu. Yep.
Oh, Wijnanbu, yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
I've been through there. Yeah. Okay. Wow, that's crazy. You
It's
can
it
you
is.
can you can tell her what she comes from.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I speak more Korean than my wife does. It is funny, man. So yeah, so you were in Red Cloud, man, and you got the
Casey,
the
yeah.
Casey, and you got the experience of the rainy season and the rice patties and that beautiful flowery aroma that comes off of them.
Oh
And
yeah, and the dogs that are barking in the morning, but not at lunchtime.
yeah,
Yeah, yep,
yep,
that the
yeah.
Arctic winters and the summers like Miami. Yep.
Oh, I know. Running with that guide on, man, and at the end of it, somebody has to pry your fingers off of it because everything's frozen. Your beanie cap is covered in ice. Yeah, I
Frozen.
remember it, man.
Yeah,
Yep,
it frost around your mouth when you exhale during PT and your lips are
yep,
frozen. Yeah.
yep.
It was no joke. That's the coldest place I've ever been.
Yeah,
It got to about negative 35 or so when I was there. That was the coldest that I recorded.
and it's wet.
Absolute yeah, absolutely nuts. I
Yep,
just you walk outside and your skin just hurts. I just
yep.
look at the sky and I'd just be like, why the hell is there a place this cold? It's like there's no reason to be this cold. Like why? Like just
Yep.
of course I was infantry, so I had to live in it. It wasn't like, I got to you know, live in a barracks the whole tour.
Yeah.
But you train how you fight. And those people over there, they'll fight in that weather. So it's like,
Oh,
well,
yeah.
we're gonna train and do it.
I mean, that's realistically, that's the only time they can fight is in the wintertime because everything else is flooded. I mean, if there's a piece of ground there, if there's a rice paddy there. So,
Yeah. Yeah,
but
that country would be absolute hell to fight a war in. Training was hard enough at those mountains,
oh yeah,
but
yeah.
fighting a war in that place, I can't imagine what those Korean vets went through.
Oh yeah.
Good
No,
lord. Yeah.
no, that I'm sure that was a brutal war. So you do your year there. You come back states. Where did you deploy from?
I got assigned to the 10th Mountain Division upon returning home from Korea, and I was assigned to a Scout Sniper platoon, the Battalion Scout Platoon, and that's who I deployed with to Afghanistan back in 2006.
So you never seen the sun until you never seen warm weather until you got to Afghanistan.
Oh no, yeah, no, 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 no. Actually, I did. Here's the thing. This is where I learned about the phrase military intelligence and how ridiculous of a term that is. I got my orders from my branch manager in South Korea, 10th Mountain Division, and it said Fort Polk, Louisiana. I took them back. I said, hey, these are wrong. 10th Mountain's at Fort Drum. And they said, no, Private Fleming, you're wrong. The 10th Mountain Division, a light infantry mountain warfare brigade, is starting a 4th brigade in the swamps of Louisiana. And then they're going to send you to the mountains of Afghanistan to fight Taliban. That's exactly what happened. And I spent a
Wow.
year, little over, year and a half in Louisiana. And I was so delighted to get those orders to Afghanistan because it got me the hell out of Louisiana.
Yeah, Fort Polk, man, is the armpit of the army. It really is. I'll take NTC over that.
Oh, I'll take a desert any day over a swamp like that humid place. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Mosquitoes big enough to eat your dog. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Now
their
the
state.
yeah, I mean the people are great and the food is great, but the weather is just ridiculous.
Yep. No, I agree, man. So you deployed from the armpit to Afghanistan and
Another armpit.
another armpit. Um, where did you end up? Where did they end up sticking you?
Uh, we landed in Kandahar, and then we were about an hour or two north of there at Fob Lagman in
Yep.
Kalat, right on Highway 1,
Yep.
and that's where we were based out of. And then
Okay.
we were all over RC South, RC East, anywhere from Kandahar, Helmand, out to Ghazni and the Pakistan border, Deshopan, Arghandab Valley. That's the Arghandab. That's the where my first vehicle got blown up.
Yeah. So you want to get into that? Then your experiences with IEDs, and
Yeah, they hurt.
they do. Yeah, they do, man. So what was you just on a patrol or?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we were out on a mission for 4 or 5 days. It was one of those missions where the mission is, well, they word it this way: confirm or deny enemy presence in the area. That just
right.
means go out there, and if you get shot at or blown up, they're here.
Yep.
And so
A
yeah,
presence patrol.
yeah.
Yep.
And so we had been out there, just our 17-man platoon, 3 4 days probably at that point, and about 7 o'clock in the morning, sun was coming up. on a little dirt road, went over a hill, went down the hill, and right where the hill flattened out to move to go forward, there's a double stack of anti-tank mines buried in the road, and
Mm.
the back tire of my vehicle hit it. I was in the back seat, but it hit the back tire on the other side, not my side, and blew it up, set it on fire, threw it about probably 10 feet, 5, 10 feet to the side of the road, which I mean, that vehicle is, well over a ton, up armored,
Oh, yeah.
bulletproof glass. I mean, ammo, everything. And two guys were injured. I actually was physically okay. And so I was able to get out, run around the other side, open the door. The guy next to me, it went off right underneath his seat. So it rung his bell pretty good. He couldn't really move. He wasn't real coherent. So I grabbed him by the body armor, pulled him out, drug him out. Squad leader, he actually escaped through that same door as I was dragging him out because the squad leader, he was the TC and he was the front passenger seat. His door was jammed shut by the blast. The gunner bounced out of the turret and then landed back in it. So he was injured. The gunner was injured slightly, and the guy drug out was injured. They were medevac, but both returned to duty a month later, thankfully.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. And two anti-tank mines is definitely a lot of power, man. You guys are extremely lucky.
Oh yeah,
Lucky as far as it could have been much worse. Not lucky that you even got hit at all, but it could have been much, much worse. So yeah, absolutely.
yeah. If you want to see pictures, you can just if you go to blownupguy.com. That's my speaking website where I do keynote speaking.
Okay.
Blownupguy.com, just because it's easier to remember. I'm a guy. I got blown up. Blownupguy.com. Even though there's thousands of guys just like me who got blown up and they still look blown up. I've healed since the other explosion we'll talk about. But yeah, that was just an easy way for people to find me. If you want to see pictures of it, it's on my Facebook and social media and stuff too.
Absolutely. And we'll make sure that we attach all those links and everything for everybody to find. So I'm sure they gave you probably the standard 24-hour 48-hour observation from the blast and then right back to work.
No, we were stranded. We were stranded. We were one vehicle short, and so we couldn't leave the vehicle out there. So we had to wait. What, a day or two? I think
Wow.
it was like a day or two to have a Chinook come with the big Q-tips and hooks and lift the vehicle and evac the vehicle out, and for someone to bring us another vehicle, and then on the way back, it was a day or two's drive back to the fob, and on the way, we had a follow-on mission because it's like, well, hey, everyone's good, right? Like, yeah, we got blasted, but we're good, right? You guys good? You good? Okay. Well, we just got a follow-on mission on the way back to the fob. So there was no day off. It was just, hey, here's the next mission.
Wow. Yeah, and the go military, they preach about that too, about if you're in an explosion, there's going to be this period where you're supposed to be under observation, and they had these whole protocols, but I
No
never
kid.
seen, yeah, I never seen anybody get to
I've
use
never
them.
heard of that in my life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's nobody there. We were so far out. There's nobody out there to do that. Like nobody would go where we went.
Right.
Some places it's like you're asking for a gunfight.
No,
Yeah.
you're absolutely. I mean, a prime example is that show, The Outpost. I
Mm.
mean, that was a lot of people don't understand that, and for the people that really didn't follow the war, there was when we first got to Afghanistan, we set up a lot of bad positions for ourselves. That show, The Outpost, that's exactly what it talks about. It talks about an area of ground that we put ourselves in, and we were the low ground all around, and we're attacked hourly. I mean, it was to the point that the military started shutting fobs down that we just could not protect because they were so poorly put in locations. So there is, when you say there's desolate posts, I mean, there is places out there where there is nothing for the
Oh,
soldiers to deal.
oh, dude, I'll tell you one of the craziest things I saw. One day we were driving for probably a good 6 hours through the desert, just nothing, like nothing. And in the middle of it, maybe 70% of the way through, there's like this. We see this 12-year-old kid with like four goats just walking through the desert, like where did he come from and where was he going? We're driving and we've been driving for like 4 hours. Like I looked at that and I'm just like, man, like these people are hardcore survivors who live here because that
Yeah.
was just daily life. Like the kid doesn't know any different. He's herding goats through the middle of the desert hours from anywhere. And he didn't have a big pack or anything. I mean, he probably had the basics, but there was no adult like out looking out for him or anything. He
Yeah.
was just out there, just crazy.
And we get worried about our kids being out past dark. you know, that kid's
Yeah.
herding his cattle, his goats all the way to back to Kandahar to sell to market,
Shit, I worry about my kids during the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely, man.
It's not like the 80s and 90s anymore. But even to your point, I mean, yeah, over in that environment,
And
crazy.
that is another thing too, we yeah, you can say, okay, we had packs and everything on our backs that we had to take equipment, but you're talking 35, 45-year-old men climbing these mountains like there's nothing to it. The elderly walking through the mountains like it's just an everyday walk, you
Oh yeah,
know.
and they've been doing it their whole lives.
Yeah.
It's
And
like
so
they're
we
conditioned for it,
struggle.
yeah.
Yeah. I
No,
mean,
in all fairness, they're wearing a bed sheet and a pair of Crocs.
right.
We're wearing body armor, ammo, you got your rig, boots, helmets, But yeah, yeah, those people they just scale those mountains.
Yeah. Yeah, they're like mountain goats, that's for sure. It is ironic, man. So was the next um time that you got injured, was it in the same deployment or was there another deployment?
It was the same deployment.
Okay.
The first explosion we talked about was April 18th of '06, and then the second one, the one that injured me, was on July 24th of '06, just a few months later. Funny thing though, how that happened. I was actually wanting to reclass my job to EOD, which
Mhm.
if someone listening wasn't in the military, that's explosive ordnance disposal. They're the bomb squad basically. If you see that guy or that lady running, you better be in front of them. And for some reason, I wanted to do that job. I'm like, I'm doing the infantry thing. It's fine, but I got to know some of the EOD guys on the fob, and they just kind of got to do their own thing. I thought their job was interesting. I don't
Yeah.
know what made me want to sort of look at doing that job, especially after hitting a bomb the first time, but I did. And I had this thing on my medical record. It said P3, which meant I was physically unfit for duty. Now I was 22. I was in the best shape of my life. I'd been fighting Taliban, running up and down mountains like for the past 4 months, 5 months. And for some reason that was on there. And they said, well, that's barring you from reclassing to EOD. And we don't have a doctor on the fob here at Lagman, but they said, you can get reevaluated if you go down to Kandahar Airfield, a couple hours south. So I took my first sergeant Humvee and got it blown to hell. And we were 2 miles from the main gate to Kandahar Airfield, and a suicide bomber drove his minivan straight into my door, the TC, the front passenger door, and blew the whole thing to pieces. And
Yeah.
I don't remember it happening, but I woke up. I woke up in a ditch on the side of Highway One. My helmet was blown off my head. Or at least I woke up and it wasn't there. Face was covered in blood. Second degree burns on my face and neck. Third degree on both my hands, which later required reconstructive surgery. And just had no idea where I was. It was about probably 120, 125 degrees out. And so woke up, burned bloody, covered in dirt, and really just had no idea what happened. I thought I was thrown from the vehicle for like, I don't know, the first 9 or 10 years because I actually didn't get a chance to talk to anybody who was there. Turns out
Mhm.
my driver, my buddy Mike, he's a medic, which that came in real handy. He actually drug me out of the vehicle and the gunner out of the vehicle and apparently called in the medevac, did the whole nine line.
Wow.
I mean, the guy just phenomenally did his job under pressure. There was no follow-on ambush, thankfully, because that was one of the Taliban, their SOPs would
Yep.
blow up a vehicle, fire lead into the smoke.
Yep.
That thankfully did not happen. But yeah, got about a half hour later, the medevac helicopter came down, which I think that's record timing, but we were 2 miles away. But they scrambled the birds and they came down. And man, it was you're not thinking about how you board an aircraft when you're in that condition, like that headspace. Like
Yeah.
there's a certain way to approach and everything. Uh,
Yep.
and so the bird's coming down, the Black Hawk, and I'm just standing, kind of looking at it, watching it come down. It's probably, I don't know, like a couple 100 feet away, which isn't that far. And starting to feel the wind. We're in a desert. I'm getting sandblasted in my
Yep.
burned off skin. And it just felt like thousands of knives stabbing my face and my hands. And yeah, I laugh about it now. But it was one of those things where after it happened, I kind of looked at the sky and I was like, seriously, the fuck, like all this and then that, like it's like, oh, that's not bad enough. Let's pour some salt on that,
Yeah.
open them like a salt storm. And so that really hurt. But they got me into Kandahar Airfield, me and my gunner, who was also injured. And funny thing, there's a lot of humor in this. It's looking back on it. I was laying there. They hadn't given me any medication yet, so my adrenaline had died off by this point. I'm really feeling the burns. I mean,
Yeah.
it really, really hurts. And this guy walks up, and he said hi to me, and I thought, hey, he's a medic because he's working at the hospital. And I thought he was going to give me some medication. He says, "Hey, can I take your picture?" I mean, he was really happy. He was like, "Hey, man," and I was like, "Huh?" He's like, "Can I take your picture?" I'm like, I guess. Can I get some medicine? Like, I'm really hurting, dude. And he's like, "Oh yeah, we'll get you taken care of." Walks away. Never saw the guy again. I guess he was a photographer, not a medic. But here's what he did do. He put that picture of me onto a CD. He burned it to a CD and he put it in a box that was sent home with me that had some of my clothes in it. And now I have the picture. I have the actual blast off bloody face. I'm actually smiling and I think it was just instinct, like you smile for pictures.
Yeah.
Plus, I didn't want any suicide bomber friends to to look and see that picture and not see me smiling. I couldn't let them see that. By the way, the suicide bomber was the only guy who died that day. So that's sort of mission accomplished, sort of.
Yep. Yeah.
That's why my Purple Heart license plate says "nice try" because it's like, well, we're still here.
That is awesome.
Yeah, you gotta have fun with it, man. Like after a while, I don't know. I can't speak for everyone, but I don't know. Sarcasm and humor is just my own personal coping mechanism. That's how I naturally deal with stuff. And as you know, the humor gets really dark the worse stuff you go through. So
Yep.
some people go, "Wow, that was incredibly dark and funny." Other people are like, "That's sick. We don't want to talk to you." And I'm like, "Don't
Yep.
worry, I get it."
Yeah. I mean, the veteran humor is not everybody's cup of tea. And this show ironically used to be called there was two of us. It was me and my old person. It used to be called Two Drunk Dudes in a Gun Room. And
That's
there
awesome.
was there was a lot of people that didn't get the humor in that either. So
I mean, what could
I,
go wrong,
exactly, man. That's a lot of yeah, I get it, man. Today's world. But no, you were absolutely right. Humor is how we all joke about near misses and things that happen, over there. And it
Well,
is a
that's like
coping method.
that's like I mean, me and some of my other buddies who have Purple Hearts, we always we have names for it. Like I often refer to the Purple Heart as the enemy marksmanship badge, because he hit you, you know. But then one of the best ones was from my buddy Jay Redmond. He was a Navy SEAL, got shot 9 times in Iraq, got ambushed from probably 15 feet away. It was a very close ambush. He got shot 9 times, survived it, walked, I think, 75 yards to the helicopter afterwards, the medevac. And he calls the Purple Heart the slow mover award. And so, he didn't get out of the way. So it's like, I
Yeah.
love that. I love being around people like that.
Yeah. No, absolutely, man. And I'm sure there was probably a period that you went through while you were just trying to wrap your head around everything during the healing process. So,
Yeah.
you left there. I'm sure they flew you back to launch school, and
Yep.
I don't probably how long was you there?
I got from Kandahar to Bagram to Landstuhl to San Antonio, Texas in 3 days, and I spent
Wow.
the following 14 months there. Now, I know, I'm joking a lot about things, but the worst part of the entire experience actually happened the first night at Brooke Army Medical Center in San Antonio. They uh they wheeled me in on a gurney. I saw my wife; she was in the hallway. I kind of tried to smile and tell her, everything's good, I'll be fine. I had a lot of blood and mucus and liquid that had dried over my lips and face, so it was kind of hard
Yeah.
to smile. Uh, Thing is, she leaned over and kissed me on those nasty, bloody lips. And we've been married over 18 years to this day, and we've never been better. And so I'm very fortunate um, that I have a good wife who showed up. That's not always the case,
Yeah.
but they took me into the shower room after that, and the head nurse just said, "Hey, Sergeant Fleming, we're gonna do this as quickly as possible, so it'll be as painless as possible." And I didn't know what he was talking about. I had no idea. Well, there's a process called debridement that they have to do if you're a severe burn victim. They have to get all the burned, dirty skin off your body, and if they don't, you can die of infection. And so what happened was at that point, him and about three other nurses all pulled out razor blades, and they had to begin shaving and tearing and pulling, that dirty burned skin off my body, the second and third degree burns. And they kept me awake through it because they usually have to do it more than once, so that if they sedate you, they're afraid you'll slip into a coma. But apparently if they don't do it fast enough, you can go into shock from the pain. So it was fast and furious, and everything in me wanted to fight them.
Yeah.
But I knew if I fight them, it's just going to prolong it. Like I'd literally just lay there and just take it and go against every instinct to resist, because I knew they were saving my life. It was one of those moments where I've never been suicidal, and I don't think I have the guts to do that. But it was the only time in my life I actually prayed to die. It was in the middle of that where it was just so extremely and excruciating the pain, where I was just like, you know what? If I can go unconscious or die, I don't care. My wife will be fine. She'll move on. It was like it was the point there was nothing worth living through at that
Yeah.
point. And I say all the time, I thank God for unanswered prayers. That's not what happened. I've never had a better life since all that happened 16, 17 years ago. And the thing about it, when we go through really horrific experiences, painful experiences, trauma, we have the fog of war all around us. Like
Yeah.
we can only see this far in front of us, like an inch in front of our face, so to speak. We can only focus and see what we're going through. We don't see everything else that's going on outside, or the possibilities of what's going to happen, or what's possible, or that this pain is going to end. It's not going to last forever this way. Like it doesn't have to stay that way. Um, and I couldn't see it that way, but I've always been sort of an optimistic person. And so it was like, well, people ask me, how'd you survive? They're like, well, you must be so strong and resilient. How did you survive? Well, the truth is I didn't die. Like, what do? You go through something, you didn't die. You get in a car accident, you didn't die. How'd you get through it? You just do. Like you figure
Yeah.
it out. And so I'm not special in any way, but I will say my mindset the whole time may have been different than other people's. I've always been a very hopeful, optimistic person. People said, "Wow, you went through all that," and they would talk to me about issues that a lot of guys face that I really hadn't gone through, that I wasn't facing. I had my own issues, but not a lot of the big ones that people talk about. And so I
Yeah.
almost felt like people were trying to project issues onto me, and the whole time I was like, "Well, no, I don't experience that at all." I had my own set of issues to deal with though, and
Right.
so when you're going through something like that, it can be hard to see your way through it. But a lot as well as me, we're taught not to ask for help. It's weak. You don't want to be that guy,
Right.
and that's just how it is, and I don't see that changing. But here's my encouragement to any guy listening who's like us, or any guy who doesn't ask for help. When everything hits the fan, when you finally break, everyone's going to know. Everyone's going to see it.
Yep.
But here's the deal. Don't think of it like as weakness. I look at it more like air support. There were times when we were in the mountains of Afghanistan and we had air support. And the thing about air support is this: they can see our battlefield that we're on from a different angle and perspective than we can. A lot of
Yep.
guys say, well, you weren't there, you weren't in my shoes, don't know what it was like. Thank God a lot of people don't know what it's like to be in your shoes because they're
I
not
agree.
inhibited, they're not blinded or inhibited by your same experience and therefore unable to see a lot of things you're not able to see. People who've never been through your own personal experience can actually see trails in your life in possible ways out that you're not seeing. It's
Yep.
like, hey, there's a minefield down there. I'm in a helicopter. Step left, not right. And being open to that, I would say 90% of the advice I got was pure trash. But hearing and being open to it, when that 10% came, it was gold. But I was open to it, and that was the biggest thing.
Would you say, and I kind of feel this way, but would you say that part of that comes from the fact that we have now put a stigma on mental health equals veteran, you know,
I,
and
I
it's
think
not true, but
I think it comes from that, but I also think it comes from just being, in my case, uh, in a group of guys who are alpha males, and our job is to kick indoors, drag terrorists out, and if they're not going to come out peacefully, we shoot them. Like, being around those kinds of other men, that kind of environment, it doesn't really naturally facilitate. Hey, I need help. Now,
right.
if you see your buddy struggling, if you see your buddy hungry, he's low on ammo, and you know he's low on ammo, you toss him a magazine.
Yep.
He didn't have to ask for it, but you do it. And he didn't have to ask, but he gets it. It's like, hey, thanks, man. And it's like, hey, don't mention it. It's like,
Yep.
or if he's falling behind because he's carrying the machine gun or the ammo, on a march or something, you take some of his stuff off him and you carry it some of the way for him. Even if you give it back to him before you get to the end and nobody knows you did, it's that kind of thing. Um, you know, so yeah, stigmas are, yeah, I have mixed feelings about the veteran community. There's a
Yeah.
lot of good vets out there, but there are some guys I don't know where they learn to just whine and quit and complain about everything. It's
Yeah.
it's a, it's a weird community we have.
You know, it comes from some as well. You know, the cool part about being a veteran, and I don't think anybody does this better than us. You know, just like you said, we know when you need that help up. You know, let me grab that ruck for you for a minute. Let me grab this, or let me give you some ammo, whatever. Right. But we also can tell when you just need that foot up your ass because you're feeling down that day or whatever. And we just have that ability to give each other not just the help, but also the push, you know?
And we're better for it when our buddies do that much of the time. It
Yeah,
really is.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
A lot of
It,
people nowadays wouldn't look at that like, oh, a boot in the ass. Like, no, be nicer. Like, no, this guy doesn't respond to nice. He responds to direct.
yep.
That's how I am. I mean,
Yeah,
like
I'm the same way.
I still need to ask. I preach it, but I still need to ask for more help with things. And if my wife is trying to like convince me of something or tell me something or whatever, it's like dancing around it, trying to be soft with soft language. It's like just fucking say it. Just say it.
Yeah.
Like I don't
Yep.
care how it sounds. Be direct because not only that, but I respect that. I
Yep.
respect people who are direct.
Yeah. I
And there's
don't.
no lack of clarity on what they're trying to communicate.
Yep. Yeah, I try to associate myself with people that I know where I stand with you from the beginning. You know, there's no I wonder what he meant by that, or I wonder what that thought meant.
I
No.
trust those people more.
Yeah.
Even if you
I,
don't initially connect or like them, if you know where you stand, that clarity is, I mean, it's so important.
yep. So you said 14 months. So you basically was stationed there in San Antonio.
Yep.
Um, and then I'm assuming you got discharged from there.
Yep. Yep. Got medically put out.
So when did this program of yours that we got going down there? What did when did that start? How did that come about?
Well, Use Your Story, that program at useyourstory.com, that came about a couple years ago, actually. What happened though, what I think you're trying to dig into is how probably did I get into speaking? Because
Yeah.
I've been giving keynote speeches and speaking at conferences, conventions for the past 16 plus years. Here's what happened. I met a guy who was a Vietnam vet. He came to the medical center. He'd been blown up, shot up. Well, not shot up. He got blown up. A hand grenade, a phosphorus grenade, blew up in his hand as he went to throw it off the riverbank in Vietnam. So it burned half his body off. He happened to survive it.
Mm.
And his name's Dave Reaver. Great guy, one of my best friends in the world. And after he came and spoke, and we were laughing, what was left of our faces off for some of us. I thought, man, this guy, he was hospitalized at that same hospital back in 1969. And you know what it was? I saw a guy who had been in my shoes, injured in war, came home. He spent 14 months at the medical center too, ironically. But over the years, the past three and a half decades at that point, he had made a life for himself. He was married to the same woman for over 50 years. They got married right before he went to Vietnam. He has started multiple corporations, did very well, very successful. And he literally just offered to take me under his wing. And he's basically said, "Hey, Brian, if you're willing, I'll show you how to do something with all this." And I didn't have anything going for me at the time. So I was like, "Yeah, what do you have?" And so what he did, and I'm so fortunate, I'll take credit for all the work I do, but I can't take credit for meeting him and becoming friends with him the way we did, because that was actually not of my doing. Some people
Right.
would call it divine intervention, whatever you want. It was right place, right time, right person, and we clicked. And it changed my family tree. And, you know, financially and who I am, what I'm able to do, the
Yeah.
groups and people I've been able to access and be a part of. Where I come from, in little blue collar Southern Michigan, nothing of the sort of what I do. And so he taught me how to use my story in a way that was productive, how to tell my story, but use it in a way that's productive and helpful to other people, how to frame my story, to position in a way that it helps other people solve problems they have. And so now suddenly my story becomes something of value, because in the marketplace, in business, if you solve a problem, people pay you money. And it was never about money, but I realized, Bob, this is a whole career people have. People go and speak and they get paid really good money, and nobody even shoots at them most of the time, unless
Right.
you're in politics, maybe. But yeah. And so he said to me this. He said, "Brian, every time you get up on stage and share your story," he said, "you get a little bit better." Now, I thought he just meant at speaking, you get a little bit better. Anything you do a lot, you get good at.
Yeah.
But he was also talking, what he was also meaning and saying was, every time you get up and tell your story, you get a little bit better. Head and heart. Every time you tell your story, you heal just a little bit more. It's like an inch at a time, an inch at a time. And what was really healing about it, and I know he knew this from his own experience. He never directly told me this, but he knew this from his experience, that me seeing other people helped and given hope because of my story was going to help heal me. So basically, every time I speak, I meet people who go, "Man, I've never been blown up, but I went through this horrible tragedy or that horrible tragedy, which I would never." I mean, some of these what people tell me, I mean, I'm just like, damn, like send me back to Afghanistan. Like I never want to go through what you did.
Yeah.
They say, but if you made it through your thing, maybe I can make it through mine. And I had a young lady who failed suicide 2 weeks before I met her, who came up and told me that the first time Dave ever put me on stage in front of 3,000 people, I didn't know there was going to be that many people or that I was going to speak. And he threw a fastball at me. And this young lady, she had been raped and abused as a child, as a teenager. She was in her mid 20s at the time. Her boyfriend was abusive, and then he broke up with her. That's when she tried to kill herself. And she comes up to me and just lays all that on me. And she ends it by saying, "But if you can survive all that, I think I can get through this." And something clicked inside me at that point. And I thought, I didn't even give her any advice. I didn't have any advice. I mean, what do you say to somebody like that?
Yeah.
But here's what happened. I had a sense of mission. One of the big problems guys getting out of the military have is they don't find their next mission before they get out. And I really hadn't either until that point. And I thought, I need to find, if she's out here like this, there's probably more people out like this who might be on the edge. And I want to share my story and get them, if they relate to me, talk to them and maybe I can help them. And that was one of the greatest decisions of my life.
Yeah.
And I real quick, I didn't know why it worked. I didn't know why that desire came out of me. It was in me and it came out of me. I really didn't choose it. But people have asked me over the years, why do you speak and what compelled you to? And I always tried to explain like the root of it. And I never could really get a grasp on like enough words to explain it until one day I was reading a book by Viktor Frankl, his most famous book, Man's Search for Meaning. If you've never read that book, you can read it in an afternoon. It will blow your mind. I mean, it is literally one of the best books ever written in history.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl. He's a Holocaust survivor. And in there, when he talks about suffering, he said in one sentence what I didn't know how to say in 10,000 words. And here's what he said. He said, when it comes to suffering, suffering ceases to be suffering at the moment it finds a meaning. I'll say it again. Suffering ceases to be suffering at the moment it finds a meaning. So when that young lady came up and said, hey, I tried to kill myself 2 weeks ago, but I failed. But if you can get through that, I think I can get through this. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being willing to share. That changed the direction of my life. It was like a 1 degree shift, but it changed everything, man.
Yeah.
And that's the fuel that has always, pushed me forward with speaking and what I do. And I've had a lot of people over the years ask, well, how do I share my story? How do I do what you do? Nobody teaches this in school or college. Like, how did you get into this? Like, and you can make a living doing it. And like, I just want to share. And I said, yeah, it's, if you know what to do, it's a thing. And that's
Yeah.
why I created the Use Your Story program, because I really believe that our stories have the power to heal the world in a lot of ways. And it can also, it can build bridges between people who I think may be at odds with each other, but it can also let other people like us who think they're alone realize that they're not, and that in itself is healing.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. And I think too many people out there, and I'm not just talking about the veteran community, everybody has a story to tell. Everybody,
Yeah.
right? The problem is too many of us don't see value in our own stories. We
Yeah.
we don't see the purpose. We don't see the interest that anybody else would have. I mean, I just wrote my first book, and I joked with everybody when I released it that, I said I'm going to sell it at all the pharmacies next to the melatonin, because my thought was that nobody would really enjoy hearing about my story. It's nothing, amazing. I wasn't
Actually, I
really.
thought it was a great marketing idea because it's not in the middle of a bunch of other books. It's actually in its own place with no competition. That's what I thought. Hey, you want
Yeah,
to heal yourself? You want to sleep better? Get some melatonin? Hey, this book will help you too.
yeah,
That's actually a
absolutely.
really good marketing idea if you don't know that.
Yeah. Well, and it turned out, people did resonate to it, and the only person that seemed like I had a story that I didn't feel that was intriguing to others was myself.
And we
So
all
I
feel
want,
that way. We all
yeah,
undercut ourselves. It's wild.
yep. And so I'm kind of wondering, how many of your students that go through your course, I'm sure 99% of them feel that way.
That's one of the big obstacles you have to get out of someone's head. Why would
Yep.
why would anyone want to hear my story? Or then they're afraid someone's going to say, "Why are you up just talking about yourself?" And it's all
Yeah.
about you. Oh man, you wouldn't believe some of that crap I've heard over the years. And it's like, did you even listen to the damn speech? Like, did you walk in here like looking for problems? It's wild,
Yeah.
But those toxic people are out there, but they're like 1 in 1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it's no different than with social media. You're gonna receive, and unfortunately, the way people are, I can see 50 amazing comments about this show, but the only one I'm gonna remember is that one troll that made a smart ass comment.
Isn't it weird?
It is. It is,
Yeah.
man.
Like, at least if you're in person, when he gets in your face, you can, take it to him. But,
Yep.
it's like, oh, go back to your mom's basement. Oh, you don't even have a profile picture or a bio. Like, are you even like, you call yourself a man? Like, you're out
Yeah.
here making these comments, behind your keyboard. You don't even have a picture.
Yeah.
I could go on, but I won't.
Yeah. No, absolutely, man.
Yeah,
Well,
you just have to accept the fact some people out there, it's like they're in a way worse place than we are. And,
absolutely.
you know, yeah, just try to
And
do good with what you got.
and I try to live because, I've been that guy. I've been the guy on the other side, that's been down. And I always kind of wondered, somebody says something that pissed me off or whatever. And my thoughts is, do you even have any clue what I'm going through right now? And the answer to that is no, they don't. And that's not their fault. That's not their problem. That's
Yeah.
my problem, you know. But so I try to talk to people with that in mind. I don't know what you're going through today, and I don't want to be that guy to throw you over the edge and
Yeah.
over something stupid as, you cut me off or, whatever the case may be. So I try to keep that. I can't say I'm 100%, but I do my best
Oh, I'm with
to
you.
to think that way.
My kids have heard me talk in the car, and then
Yep.
I'd hear them repeat, and I'm like, "Where did you hear?" Oh, never mind.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, brother, I'm going to pull you forward, man, and give you the opportunity to tell everybody where they can learn how to tell their story and get some, maybe even some people changing their career choice.
Yeah. I mean, if you've ever been one of those people who wants to share your story, maybe it's because you just want to share it, or maybe it's for a cause that you're a part of and you want to promote that cause and further that cause. Public speaking is the best way to do it, and being able to share your story, because sharing your story, again, like I said a few minutes ago, it's not just about talking about your story. That's not it. This What I teach is how to position your story from a place of value in the marketplace, because that makes people want to know who you are. They want to know more about you. They're intrigued and they want to book you to speak, which comes with lots of great opportunities, amazing connections you can make. And also, yes, you can also make money doing it. And I want to say this too, if I didn't say it already. Um, Making money as a speaker, it's a business. I didn't get into it for that reason, but money is the grease on the machine that makes everything possible. And if you can't be financially productive with sharing your story, with your speaking business, you're not going to reach very many people. You're not going to do anything. You're not going to really go anywhere because it takes money. So what I'm giving people, it's a free offer. It's free. I'm not trying to sell you anything. This is what I wish I had when I first started up. I learned a lot of great things from my mentor, but there was a missing piece that I wish I had had, that I later learned from somebody else who was, he was strong in his place. Other people were strong in their place as speakers. But today, what I want to give all of your listeners, if they're interested, if they want to share their story, is what I call, it's the free share your story roadmap. It's a very simple step-by-step process. I'm going to show you exactly how to share your story through speaking. And I'm going to also show you how to make your first $500 speaking. This is free. The Share Your Story Roadmap, it's a simple 7 or 8 step process you just go through. It's a one-page PDF. It's about a 14 or 15-minute video, very short, and it shows you exactly step by step how to position your story from a place of value, and then how to make your first $500 speaking. Because when people realize that people want to book them to speak and that they can make money doing this, that changes things. And it's not just for the money. Obviously, again, when you get people walking up to you and saying, "Hey, I went through this and I tried to kill myself, or I was thinking about it," you wouldn't believe some of the stories of people that come up to me afterwards, and I think back all those years ago. Thank God I took Dave up on his offer. Who knows where this person might be right now, if maybe we didn't meet. Not that I'm special, but or that I had the answers they needed, but because I crossed paths with them at a pivotal time that I didn't know they were going through, and a lot of
Yeah.
their family members didn't know they were going through. And for some reason, our paths collided when they did, and that person found some sort of hope or direction, took away something, maybe one thing of a lot of things I said, and it helped them move forward and take their next step. So if you want to share your story, make a difference in the world, and yes, be able to be financially productive doing it, go to useyourstory.com right now and download that free Share Your Story roadmap. It's free. I'm not selling you anything.
All right, man. Absolutely. And again, we will have this link along with all your other links that we talked about earlier in the show. So if you're just watching this because it's not live, you can also just click the link. It'll be in the description and the show notes as well. So Brian, you got an amazing story, man. I thank you for your service. You've been an amazing guest, and anytime you'd like to come back on, I'd love to have you.
Yeah, well, thank you, Donald. Appreciate you. And by the way, congrats on the book. That's a huge test. Nobody realizes what a beast writing a book is. And
I
congrats
know.
on doing that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And thank you
Yeah,
for serving as well. And I hope it goes well with the book. And yeah, let me know if I can ever be of any more value for you.
absolutely, man. Well, if you don't mind hanging out, I'm gonna put you in the green room. We'll throw the exit video up, and I'll be right with you. All right, everybody. Look, we all go through things, right? And you can sit here and gauge what you're going through compared to other people all day long, right? But what it comes down to is exactly what he was saying. How do you use it, and what does it do for yourself and others, right? Make sure that you think about that when you're trying to compare. Don't undervalue yourself. Um, Everybody has a story to tell. Everybody goes through trials, and what is traumatic to one may not be traumatic to the other. So it's not a race, it's not a contest, it's not to see who's got the most trauma awards at the end of the year. It's about being you, authentic, and getting your story out there, letting the world know that you exist because you do matter. So I appreciate all of y'all that listen. Man, the people that download and give me your most precious ownership of time, I thank you. Um, I don't take that for granted. So anytime any of you guys leave me messages, I read them, reviews, I read every single one of them, and I take it with the utmost thought on improvements as well as the positive. So I thank all of y'all. Don't forget, don't let the day kick your ass. Kick the day's ass. Y'all take care. We'll see you next week.